All right, we'll call to order the June 14th, 2017 RTC Specification Subcommittee meeting. First item of business is to conduct a comment period for citizens' participation. This is for any items on this agenda. Anyone wishing to speak? None. We'll move on to item number 2, which is approval of the minutes of the February 8th, 2017 meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item number 3, receive a presentation from the California Nevada Cement Association on cementitious pavement technology.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have representatives here from the California Nevada Cement Association. Nathan, right?
That's me.
Yes, and they came in, asked if they could come before you with some interesting concepts and technologies, and we said you would love to see them, as would we. So take it away, Nathan.
Well, thank you very much, John. I appreciate you allowing us to come in and talk with you today. I know your time's valuable, and this won't be a long presentation. We just want to touch on a couple of things that maybe we're not seeing a lot of being implemented here in Southern Nevada, and we're not sure if they're seen as unsuitable or perhaps just not a widely known pavement technology. So we thought we'd just come in and talk about them briefly. With me today as well is Mr. Mike Sherwood from Nevada Ready Mix and Service Rock Products. We also brought along Elu Chavez with Materials Testing Corporation. Both these companies are members of the Southern Nevada Concrete and Aggregates Association, which is a trade group of ready-mix producers and material suppliers in the area. And Elu is head of the technical committee for that group. So thanks for coming. About the California Nevada Cement Association, so you understand who we are. We're a not-for-profit trade association that represents the 6 companies that produce Portland cement within California and Nevada, 6 companies there with their logos on the bottom. And, you know, most of our work involves promoting the use of concrete pavements, cement for various uses, and looking out for the interests of the industry. So that's who we are. There's a number of items and ways that cement can be used in pavement systems, not just as a Portland cement concrete pavement surface, just a number of ways on the ground, beneath the ground, etc. We're only going to talk about a few of these today in the interest of time. We thought that these 3 technologies might be of most interest and or most use to the agencies here in Southern Nevada. So we're going to talk about roller compacted concrete overlays of existing asphalt streets, and full depth reclamation of existing asphalt streets. The roller compacted concrete is a low-cost durable concrete pavement. It's placed with a high-density asphalt paver and uses existing equipment that most asphalt paving companies would have. It's a mix that can be produced in a pug mill or in a ready-mix plant, and that's a roller compacted concrete installation that you're seeing there in the photograph. It's a very high rate of production, very similar to asphalt pavement. And as you're seeing there, the gentleman riding a roller right behind the asphalt paver, and it's a lot like asphalt in that it hardens up, and you can move equipment on it right away. This is a roller compacted concrete overlay of an existing asphalt street at the Cemex facility in Victorville. You can see a 10-wheel dump truck that's delivering the roller compacted mix from a pug mill on site to a high-density asphalt paver, and you can see a roller right there in the background. When this mix is correct and being installed correctly, this mix is so stiff coming out of the back of the paver that you can actually cantilever 10 or 12 ton vibratory roller off the edge of the mat, much like you would be able to with an asphalt pavement. And so these are a low-cost alternative to asphalt. We find in most cases where agencies have gone out to bid using both pavement methods, roller compacted concrete is lower upfront cost than hot mix asphalt. And in most any kind of life cycle analysis or life cycle cost analysis, the roller compacted concrete is going to be far less expensive over the long haul.
So it's even cheaper to
It's cheaper to put in and it's cheaper to keep too.
One question though.
Certainly.
It's been a common fallacy on both sides, asphalt and concrete, is the life cycle. Because a lot of times concrete guys, asphalt lasts 15 years and not that good. So I think for us, Clark County, to go with this, it has to be a reasonable life cycle for asphalt and concrete.
Absolutely. And we think, and we are going to address in another presentation at the end of the month, the idea of best value contracting that would include an analysis like that, be it a life cycle analysis for the purpose of quantifying environmental impacts of various pavement material selections, and as well a life cycle cost analysis that would take, based on regional performance of materials, local performance of materials, local practices as far as whether that concrete would require a diamond grind at some number of years, some percentage of slab replacements at some number of years, whether your asphalt requires crack sealing or slurry sealing or chip sealing, shallow mill and fills, cold in place recycling, whatever the local practice is to maintain asphalt over whatever period of time is most suitable, be that 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years for a facility, and compare the true cost of what it's going to be to construct and maintain that facility over the life that's anticipated for it.
Okay, I think that's what analysis is.
Yeah.
I know I've seen before these kind of analysis by concrete side, and I go asphalt concrete, I don't care what side it is, go to irrigate you and say, oh, asphalt lasts 15 years, you don't know that kind of analysis is not true.
No, I wouldn't stand up here and try to suggest that you'd have to throw away asphalt after 15 years. No, I think that's disingenuous to either argument. It's not, concrete doesn't last forever and asphalt lasts more than 10 or 15 years. But, sorry, John.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure the subcommittee knew that he was talking about the executive advisory committee. So it's going to come before that group with a little different emphasis.
Yes, that this presentation is focused more on specific pavement technologies and materials. That presentation is focused more on contract delivery methods.
Right. Again, EAC, and this misrepresents. Okay, so I don't know the basis of it. And I want EAC to say, oh, great, look at a cost difference here. Want to go with them, and they understand the life cycle output of it. So that concerns me. Don't EAC show that number.
Well, you got to put it in context. So we're looking at $4 a square foot.
Right.
Look over on the left. So you're.
Well, that's my point, Michael. Is that this
square yard? That's 8 inches of concrete maybe for a particular use with heavy haul trucks, that kind of stuff. This RCC makes sense, but it's not. This kind of oversimplifies it to say on any road in my town, that's the right application. It's cheaper. That's not true.
Right. That's why I make sure at EAC you don't think that's they don't see it being less expensive and not knowing the basis of expense.
Well,
No, and that's not
why I brought it up. Is that the presentations are different.
So they won't be in that EAC then?
No, we're not intending to get into this level of detail with the executive committee. No, the intent is to just talk about the benefits that an agency can realize by having those materials compete against each other. And if it turns out that asphalt's going to work better for you, then we would have no place to complain about that.
So I think the key word is life cycle cost analysis. How to do that, or the NDOT has, is to do a job and say, let's do life cycle cost analysis, see which one it goes with, and that's what we do. And I think that's a good approach to have.
That's absolutely the approach that we intend to promote.
We're hijacking your.
That's all right. No, this is.
I think they're good questions.
This is much better as a dialogue than a monologue.
So RCC, my experience has been finished. Never had anything that I worried about rideability on because it was mostly haul roads, maintenance roads, detention basins, that kind of stuff. Probably would be good.
I would say that
to try to compare.
What I would say is that the technology for placing and finishing RCC has improved, but it's still not. It's not suitable for high-speed facilities, at least as it comes out of the paver and out from under the rollers. If you were going to want to look at installing it on something over maybe a 35-mile-an-hour street, you'd probably want to plan on diamond grinding it to create a smooth surface for rideability.
You know, higher arc
Yeah.
Yeah, another $2.
Well, hopefully, boy, if you're getting $2 a square foot for grinding, I know what business I'm opening up.
Buck a square foot. I talked to Penn all the other day. It was like $1 a square foot. That was their
I might be able to connect you with some contractors.
I might need.
All right. The next topic I wanted to talk briefly about is Portland cement concrete overlays of existing asphalt roads. There are two basic types of overlays, bonded or unbonded overlays, and it's really it's based on the analysis techniques. In a bonded overlay, you're counting on the underlying asphalt to be able to carry some of the shear stress that gets transferred into it through that interface. And in an unbonded overlay, you're really it's for much more deteriorated surfaces. You're only counting on the underlying asphalt essentially as a stiff base material. So a couple of considerations if you think one of these may work for a site you have in mind. Obviously overhead clearance. You're talking about doing an overlay. You're talking about raising the elevation of the street. Adjacent existing facilities, particularly in urban areas, if you have curbs and gutters and crosswalks and sidewalks and things like that, you have some considerations there. Subgrade or drainage issues, obviously, just like with any kind of an overlay material, it's not going to solve an underlying geotechnical problem that you have, so those have to be addressed. And as well, if you have really major potholes and things like this into the base, those should be repaired before any kind of overlay goes on, regardless. This is a Palm Springs City Hall where they did a 3.5-inch overlay a couple of years ago. You can see it looks really nice. Palm Springs was having some trouble with the parking lot out here. They, much as Las Vegas does, get some very hot weather in the summertime, and they were having trouble with their asphalt rutting, and residents and visitors to City Hall tripping and causing a liability problem for them. That was the main reason that they went in with the overlay in this case. And this is a rural highway out in Colorado, paved not quite 20 years ago, and the photo's 5 years old now, so what you're seeing there was a 14-year-old highway. This is a fairly common practice in a lot of parts of the country, but we find in the Southwest U.S. in particular, it's not widely adopted. We think that this is a good market for concrete overlays as a surface treatment, but we're not really sure why they're not more widely adopted here. We think it's a good technology that warrants consideration.
What does that go for, square foot, ballpark?
You know, it would be awfully site specific. You know, depending on the size of the project, the thickness of the pavement. I would imagine that's $3 to $4 a square foot as well. But I think that could vary widely depending on what you're trying to do. And lastly, full depth reclamation. This is in-place recycling of existing asphalt and base and/or sub-base materials, depending on how deep you set the reclaiming machine to go. And you know what this does is give you an opportunity to completely resurface a facility and address any underlying base issues while you're there. Reclamation can be done with no stabilizer, with asphalt emulsion stabilizer, lime stabilizing with expansive clays. Cement, Portland cement is the most popular material for stabilizing this pulverized base material. This is the general. I'm not going to go through this in a whole lot of detail in the interest of your time, but the general steps are to pulverize the base and then address how you are going to handle the new overlay, whether you're going to just raise the grade or remove some material to accommodate that overlay, and then introduce your stabilizing agent. In the case of cement, you would remix it, add water, etc. And then once that is cured, put your new surface, most often hot mix asphalt, over the top. And then what you end up with is a street whose asphalt should last a lot longer with a much stiffer base underlying it. This is an example this was in Northern California, where they had 10.5 miles of 36-foot wide residential streets, and they did an alternate design on this where they looked at doing a remove and replace of asphalt and underlying base versus stabilizing in place. And in this particular instance, they were able to realize a large cost savings, a couple $1 million on that particular project. Again, this is awfully project specific. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that you're going to save, you know, $200,000 or $100,000 per lane mile every time you do this. That's not the case. But again, it's a technology that has the potential to work very well in Southern Nevada, and we feel should warrant consideration when streets are to be reconstructed. Some additional benefits of full depth reclamation are the reduction of trucking impacts. You can see on this same 10.5 mile residential street project, eliminated not quite 10,000 trucks from residential areas, 58-to-1 ratio of trucks versus the cement stabilization. It's really an economic benefit as well. This base, sub-base material is material that the agency has already purchased. It's already in place, and being able to reuse it in place is an economic benefit as well as an environmental benefit.
This could be a situation where we'll have failure.
Yes, base failures, sub-base problems, things like this.
But not a.
This is for
35-year-old road that I'm replacing.
Yeah, if you're in a position where you can do a mill and fill type replacement, this may not be the right technology. If you're looking at a full depth reconstruction, this we feel warrants consideration.
And we do this a lot. We reuse, we pulverize, put back, and use that as our base. Whether we haven't had a lot of failures where we're adding the cement to get I can't think of the time when we had to do that.
But it may be possible if you're in that situation that by cement stabilization, which is fairly low cost and fairly fast, you may be able to realize some savings in a thinner asphalt section.
No, in our case here, well, that's what we got to check out. Our payment was 2 inches, and
No, you wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend going below 2 inches. I wouldn't even recommend below 2 for a concrete.
cover concrete. Like right here, that whole thing, putting it right back to the base.
Great.
And so far, we only have problem with base failures. The only problem we have is like the clay areas or just
Jip
areas, whatever. That would make sense probably on the concrete. But North Las Vegas, they have more problems.
Yeah, I understand that the soil in North Las Vegas is often not ideal.
Yeah.
And this is, again, I may have already mentioned this, uses the materials in place, recycles your existing investment, conserves the virgin material, and saves energy, reducing mining and hauling of materials into the job site. That was about all I had on my agenda to talk about. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer them.
I think the RCC, I can think of two actual traffic areas where it's used here in the valley. One was at the Spring Preserve. They went with using going to be an EMC squared product, and they ended up going road spec concrete for the on-site drive. And then Century Steel used it for the parking lots. And I haven't checked back in there lately how it did, but the concept was I got heavy trucks, I don't want rutting, so they paid extra money, did a 12-inch RCC at least.
Wow, that's a heavy-duty
It was
pavement.
big, and they paid a premium for it, but their idea was making so. My feedback to you would be when you give that RCC presentation, tell us what. I think you saw a little bit of pushback because tell us where it would be good. I don't think it's a carte blanche all of our roads in our cities. I don't think it's a good fit for most of them, but I think there probably is an opportunity for you guys to fit in somewhere and maybe focus in on that and show us how that can.
All right.
where would be the right application.
I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, and I cut them out of this presentation in the interest of time, but we have design guides, specifications,
And you could meet
case
with them
studies.
individually, right?
It's absolutely.
Good.
I'd be happy to come in, chat individually and at length as much as you'd like with any of you or your staffs on any of these topics or any of the other items on the initial slide I presented. Consider me a resource, please.
In fact, a traffic application, we're looking at CTV along the beltway for the water and also air quality. To meet with them on 27, we'll talk about that very issue.
Yeah.
Down there and see that look like CTV. That's good application for us. We want to use that most likely because it looks like the car may want to go on that at the lane.
You're right.
So we want to have a white and just to be different.
So on the shoulders, you're saying?
Oh, yeah. In fact, more than that, 37-foot wide area for air quality.
Instead of the big old rock
Yeah.
that
Yeah. It's a
people
safety issue.
sucked off into.
Well, yeah, it's a safety issue. Rock now, we have to keep that away from the road. So, that way, if it's open areas, then it does control problem and water problem. Both of that.
So why, just for, because I'm ignorant on such things, why is this technology not a good fit for most of our roads? I think is what you said, or just the RCC application.
I'm thinking RCC.
Oh.
Right, I'm focused on RCC. It's a thicker section typically, the drivability of it, like you're talking about. I appreciate you saying you're going to have to go behind it and to get it to the surface, because that's my experience. It's pockety, it's not a surface that my residents can't stand the type 3 slurry, let alone. I think this would be a similar.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I think the technology and the experience level with some of the contractors in this region, not specifically Southern Nevada, but California, Arizona, even Utah, that experience level is improving, increasing. The ability to turn out a more acceptable surface is improving. But again, at this time, today I don't know that I could recommend it on those higher speed facilities, but on residential streets, for example, I could get you some information if you're interested. Pima County in southern Arizona is strongly considering requiring concrete on all future residential streets because they're realizing that they just can't afford the long-term maintenance with the thin asphalt sections that they've been getting.
Like he was talking about, I'd like to see cost analysis because we are getting 35 years of the complaint today. Still we need 3. And we're going to put a slurry on it. And that's 20. And it's going to keep going. So
That's fantastic.
it would be interesting because the initial cost of that RCC is going to be much more expensive than what we put down for asphalt, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and I think that
I'd be happy to, try to generate a comparable section to what you have now and solicit input from some contractors on what it would cost to construct.
I think the difference is that here we're willing to set tracks. So a lot of our roads here might be 35 years old, but they don't look for what they support traffic. It comes down to the population. They want aesthetics and ride. That's it. So on major collectors and highways, ride is a big deal. Around neighborhoods, aesthetics. So if the road's cracked up, it looks bad. It looks like it looks good, but that is good. It looks bad. So it's a matter of, as far as the county goes, is how much money you spend to make them happen. Well, obviously, Storyfield is flat. Okay, it looks like a nice place now, and we'll do Storyfield and take it down. The road's fine, correct. So it's all about politics and
Certainly.
things like that. So just the definition, what is a bad road? Our roads are bad. They're cracked.
Yeah, I'd be interested in pricing in that stuff. So maybe
I'd be happy to work with you on that. All right, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 4 is discuss topics of interest. Anybody have anything?
Yeah, just one thing. We are conducting interviews on June 22nd for a new engineering manager. So we've got a pool of 5 people that made it to the selection interview. So we're hoping that we'll have someone on board mid to late July. And so you'll see another face. Obviously, I'm going to still be involved here tremendously, but having another person on board will help us get through the list of those burner items that that we have in this committee. There's a couple things that we need to start moving forward, so that'll be helpful having some help.
Some of those items that we might have moving forward. I talked to JP about any items left in the standard specifications that are not ADA compliant or ProLab compliant. Just kind of going through and cleaning up anything that needs to be done. Anything left, just to make sure that as any complaints or anything comes up from the people that make those complaints, lawyers and litigation, that at least our standards.
Yeah, that's going to be a major effort for the new person working with this committee and
Way to put that
operations
off.
committee. What's that?
Way to put that off.
Yeah.
Major effort for the new person.
Hey, so you have to pick your battles, right? And I think we're generally in compliance, but there are some thorny issues out there. And that reminded me, I promised to send to the committee, the subcommittee, the latest ProWag specifications on reach, forward and side reach. Did I? I don't think I did that. You guys remember seeing anything from me on ProWag?
Well, the new guy will take care of it.
Well, I can do. That's an easy one. I'll do that. I'll save the hard one
Yeah,
for the new guy.
No.
New gal. Okay, I will resurrect that and get that out to you.
So I think, like on the city side, we're going to start looking through it and have somebody look through and just see what we can see that might be issues. Some of them are just like simple things that might just be a case of just adding a 2% maximum
Right.
as a note on the certain specs or deep or thin drawings that we'll clean up. But some might be a little harder than others. And I know there's some that no one likes, but that are in the standard right now, like the driveways. But it's like currently meet ADAG and ProAg, but no one likes them, so no one uses them. So trying to find some other solution.
That's correct. Agreed.
That was the one thing I did.
None. We'll move on to conduct the final comment period, citizens' participation. Anyone like to speak?
Okay.
Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.